Okay. Hey everyone, my name is Ash Shukla, and I like to say namaste and welcome to today's live broadcast.
Namaste.
Be sure to if you like it, if you love it, be sure to like, love, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. So thank you so much for joining today. And go here at the bottom. Be sure to participate in this conversation. And today we are talking about uncertainty in life. We all face this issue right now. As you know, there are election times all over the world going on, and it is crazy what's happening. We are all facing this uncertainty as to what is going to happen tomorrow, and this causes anxiety. This causes several other emotions that come up in our lives, but anxiety happens to be one of the biggest ones that at least that I know of. Okay, if you know of any other emotions, please write them down here at the bottom. So my name is Ash Shukla, and today I have two guests with me, Marni and we have Andrea. So Marni and Andrea, they are experts in their field. Marni is an amazing singer. I just found out she plays music and she sings. I saw some of her videos, which I thought was very cool. So I wanted to know, I cannot sing, just so you know, Marni.
I can teach you. I can teach you.
You can teach me how to
Never
sing.
too late. Never too late.
Okay.
Never.
Well, you know what? If you can teach me how to sing, you'll be the greatest teacher on planet Earth. Because according to my daughter, I cannot sing. So,
Challenge accepted.
I don't think any child ever thinks their parent can sing.
oh yeah, my. But anyway, so with that in mind, I will say one thing. I want to appreciate all of you, being here, and thank you, Andrea, for being here as well. Andrea owns a wellness and a counseling center here in Maryland, and you guys should check her website out. It is absolutely amazing. So, with that in mind, I want to get started today and talk about uncertainty. And I have two guests here. We're going to do some exercises, have some fun, give you some actionable steps that you can take today to get rid of uncertainty, or at least dump it down a little bit. Okay. So, with that in mind, I wanted to start with Marni, would you like to start? Marni, let's introduce ourselves a little bit, and then we can take it from there.
Sure. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for being here. Thanks for having me. So this topic is very dear to my heart, and what I bring to the table in hopes of helping people turn down their stress and anxiety is I do it through a lot of different modalities. So quickly, just to share, the theater kind of gave me the foundation to understand how to communicate and respond and project and retrieve information from people. It's like working in the right sandbox. But where I am now is now I do breath work. So truly working in the parasympathetic nervous system and actually the sympathetic nervous system to control our impulse, to control our action, to control our mood. So when you're really heightened up in anxiety, there are certain practicums that really bring you and help you stabilize. But I lean on just conventional therapies, like just talking, letting it out, looking with shadow work. There's a lot of things. And Reiki. So sometimes we just meet people where I personally, when I say we, I mean all of me, meets whoever I'm talking to exactly where they are at and what it is that they need. And then we kind of figure out a plan. So that's me.
I love that. Thank you so much, Marni.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate you. Okay. Andrea, my friend, you want to talk a little bit?
Good morning. I'm so happy to be here. I know that just from speaking with friends and clients, this has been a really stressful time. And the whole idea of being uncertain, as 25 years in mental health, working with people throughout the years, I think uncertainty is one of the most difficult things for us to manage, because it's something that, typically we know our brains are wired for the negative. It's biased, just prehistorically. So we are always, despite our efforts, tending to go in that negative direction. So uncertainty is leaving people with this space of time for worry and anxiety, which we know affects our body. And owning Flourish Counseling and Wellness Center, which is integrative, holistic way to manage and treat mental health. I found over the years that as wonderful as talk therapy is, it didn't quite provide
Right.
everything, as Marni's saying, with breath work and nutrition and physical movement. So anyway, what I'm here to talk about and to just let everybody know is there are many resources, there are many ways to manage ourselves when we feel uncertain, when we feel anxious. And I think the work that Marni's doing with the breath, I know I'm fascinated in. I'm trying to learn as much as I can. And also, I'm really embracing neuroscience. I'm getting ready to start a certification in that. The other exciting piece is just understanding that our brains are neuroplastic, meaning we can continue to make changes throughout our lives.
Amen.
So, just glad to be here and help give our support to people that are feeling uncertain now.
Thank you so much, Andrea. I really appreciate that. So, in conversations today, guys, if you're watching this live right now or watching replay, if you're watching this live, put live below, hashtag live, right? If you are watching this replay, put the replay below. My friends, listen, I want to acknowledge you because those of you who are joining us, online, I want to tell you that I want to acknowledge you and I want to, promote you and I want to help you out in any way I can. And that's what we are doing in conversations today about uncertainty, because we face uncertainty in all walks of our life, right? Anything we do is uncertain. Like right now, I have all these things lit up, and it could just shut it down. Like that's uncertainty.
Well,
Well, yeah. That's right. So we are facing uncertainty in our lives, and the question is, how do we fix it? And we are going to give you some actionable steps that you guys can walk away with today. One of the things I'm excited about with Marni, like you're going to talk about breath work, right? So I can't wait to see that, because actually, Marni, I'm gonna well, we'll talk about that later. But anyways, so with that being said, it's a breath work. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to see that. And of course, Andrea is going to do, she's going to give us action steps that we can take, because she owns a wellness center, and not only that, she herself is an expert in this field, but also at the same time, she has other people who can also help you. So with that in mind, I want to get started. Look, listen, the way I look at uncertainty is a little differently than most people. I think that, coming from India with 20 bucks and no English, I think it is as uncertain as it gets, because when there is no place to live and you don't even know where you're going to go. When we landed here in 89, the only person that we counted on was our family. So, but not having a job or not being able to speak English, not having, that you talk about uncertainty, it was completely daunting. Like what uncertainty does is what happened to us in my story. Like, and I talk about when we were coming here for the first time, we'd never been in a plane before. We got into, our plane was delayed by 4.5 hours at the Bombay International Airport. And all of a sudden, for the first time, we are saying goodbyes to our family. We're sitting in the plane, and we were emotionally like a wreck. Okay, like literally, we were emotionally wrecked, because we didn't know how long before we will see our family. So the entire family, because nobody back then, traveling in a plane was a big thing. So everybody came, my grandfather, my grandma, my aunts, uncles, cousins, everybody came to the airport, at the Bombay International Airport, to say us goodbye, because we really did not know how long it was going to take us to go back. Then we get into the plane, and the plane got delayed, and it was hot and muggy, and it was beautiful plane, because we had never seen a plane before, right? So it's beautiful. So in my journey, then we go into the plane finally takes off at like 1:30 at night. It was supposed to be a 9 o'clock flight. And then we go to London Heathrow Airport. And at the airport, there was, we didn't know what we were doing. I didn't even know how to ask for a bathroom, like a restroom, So that caused a lot of trauma. And then my dad was struggling with this person, at the Heathrow Airport. And at the Heathrow Airport, what happened was, some lady came over to us and she tried to help us. The first thing she told us is we had missed our connecting flight. Now, can you imagine in life, like all of a sudden you're middle of the road and you are learning that you're missing your connecting flight, right? I mean, like, you can't speak English, you can't eat anything. We are vegetarians. So being in London Heathrow Airport in 1989, being vegetarian, I mean, there's no words for that except good luck, right? I mean, reality, right? So, I mean, like, it's a horrific experience, right? So I think that a lot of times in life we feel like that, and I'm here to tell you guys today. I'm doing this episode because I wanted to give you guys hope that we are here to fly with you, because I think many people just give you a ticket to get on the plane. It has been my
Love it.
dream. It
I know.
is my
Yeah.
journey
Love it.
to
Drawing.
get on the plane with you. So you're here, you're watching, you're perhaps feeling uncertain. Believe me, I've been through a lot, and all I can tell you is uncertainty is not permanent. So very first thing is you have to come from a place of, create your new ground. But we'll talk about that as we go along. But I want to let you know about this story because I think it has so many things. If you look at it right from the get-go, as excited as we were for the first, we got our visas. It took us 9 years to get our visas.
Mhm.
My aunt applied for us in 1981, and we finally got our visas in 1989. That's a long time to
Yeah.
wait for a visa, right? So it's all about perspective. I think the very first thing is you really have to stop yourself and ask yourself, where are you coming from, and where is your ground game, right?
Mhm.
You have to figure that out, and the game begins there, right? Because uncertainty has a lot to do with the future. More of a prediction or thinking about the future as to what's going to happen.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
only way we made is we are like, in Gujarati, my language, we say "Pade vi deva se," meaning, whatever comes our way, we'll deal with it as it comes, right? So from that being said, at times, you have to do that in life, right? I believe that you have to go with the flow, they say. And as I'm learning more English language and phrases, I'm getting better at it. Just so you know, I've had a 31 years of practice so far. I think I'm getting good. I'm getting better at it.
Great. You do great.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
If I was in India, my goodness.
Yeah. Hey, Jonathan. Good morning, my friend. Good to see you here. Really appreciate you being here. So we're talking about uncertainty, right? So, Marni, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about uncertainty. What have you seen, when you work with people and when you talk to you? I want to get from opinion, get some things from both of you. What kind of things that you guys face, or when people come to you and talk to you guys about different types of work? What kind of concerns do you normally see?
I mean, I think you nailed it on the head. Uncertainty and how that shows up in their language might show up in many different words, and it might show up physically, it might show up emotionally, it might show up energetically. But if we put it into the word uncertainty, something is stopping them. Something, I call it the sexy, slippery slide into the goo, that uncertainty becomes the dominating force. So we can't get anywhere. And we rely on what it is we know. So, meaning past story, past experience. First, let me say, I mean, I took notes crazy on the idea of your story, that for your analogy of getting on a plane and really how long it took you to reroute, and then the idea and the phraseology of, go with the flow. But what's something you did that's so masterful, and it's something that it is that we try to do when a client comes to us, is you want to teach them the art of flow. And flow, the word itself, so powerful with an image of an airplane and flight, but also just existing free of tension, or to be able to navigate. What you did in that moment of uncertainty is you trusted. You ended up in Heathrow, and I can't even imagine a more stressful place.
Mhm.
An international airport, no language. How do I get to the bathroom? You couldn't even say a joke. Like, you couldn't even say, like, where do I get McDonald's? And you had to trust that your journey was getting you to where you wanted to be. And that had to be incredibly powerful in that moment of, I'm leaving everything I know behind. That's the past. I'm putting everything into the future, and it took me a decade to do it. That's super powerful. So I wrote the word, and again, it's something that Andrea and I both would do, and I'm not speaking for her, but I trust that she would agree with me, is we almost want to help people in any kind of practice that we can bring to somebody who feels uncertainty to overshoot the end game. To not just have a dream and a fantasy, but like go beyond, go so far into the flow that an airplane can take you off the ground and sit there with those giant wings saying, okay, do I throttle? Do I pull back? And getting people in this creative space to breathe, to relax, and then settle in to something that is greater than they imagined, which is peace. Wouldn't the opposite of uncertainty be peace?
Yes.
So I just loved your story, because if I start writing a whole, story tomorrow, you can be like, oh, that was my story. I'll give you credit.
I think the one thing I always start with when I'm working with somebody who's feeling that uncertainty or who's in a situation where they feel lack of control, I think that is the biggest fear, is that I have no control. That's how people perceive these situations. But I bet that you and your family understood that you had control within yourself. You had the resource to pray, meditate, to know that you had the strength to go inward and pull on your strengths, your resources, the things that got you to that airport in the first place. And that's what I love to share with people. They come in and they feel out of control. Everything is uncertain and there's nothing they can do. And I say, you absolutely are in control. What you're in control of is yourself, of your, how you manage it and how you perceive it and build it. And there's that quote that pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. The other thing is that we are searching to celebrate all the great moments, the certain moments, the joyful moments. But what I like to say is that embrace these moments too. Go within and say, I'm going to have to pull on a lot right now, but this is part of my journey and part of life. And I'm not going to look at it like it's this suffering thing. So
I would agree.
I love that. Okay, so guys, listen. Those of you who are watching, you don't understand, but there is so much gold nuggets going on right now. So number one, what I talked about, as far as uncertainty is concerned, right? You just have to go with the flow. I said to go with the flow, and then what I learned from this, broadcast, and those of you who are watching us, go here and at the bottom and write down what you are learning. But here's what I'm getting so far. Okay. Step number one you must take is, trust yourself.
Yes.
That you're going to make it on the other side. Have that belief in you that, I didn't even know some hidden gems that I learned from Marni, but trust yourself and have this belief that you can actually, you're going to get through. Step number two is, you are resourceful. Make sure that you know that. Dig in. Maybe make a list of things that you already know versus things you don't know, right? So if you write down things you do know, like, Ben Franklin was known to be one of the smartest person on in the US, right? At least. So that being said, so he used to make a decision, and the way he did that was he would take a blank piece of paper and put a line in the middle and a line at the top, and he would say yes and he would say no, right? So basically, on the yes side, he would put down all the things that why he should do something, and on the other side, he would say why he shouldn't do something. And when he added it up, whichever side added up more, that was a decision that he made. Now, from that, what we can learn is that if you take the same technique that he used, what if we used it for clearing our uncertainty? What if we just write down all the things that we know, how many resources that we have, what do we know about us from beginning to the end, and then write down all the unknowns, right? If the known is higher than unknown, you won the game, right? And here's the thing, mind is a maze, and you can actually write less things down on the other side. Just write all the positive and go with the flow. a trick that I would use. But I don't know about you. You can try out something else.
Oh, so
But
on purpose, Ash, you're saying you're going to on purpose leave them out. That's good.
yeah, on purpose, just ignore it, right? So step number three, step
I like
number three,
because what we focus on is what we.
that's right. Step number three, you are in control. Like know that you're in control. Look, I believe that it's important to know that because at any given moment in time, you are always in control. One way or the other, you are always in control. You are never out of control. The uncertainty brings in anxiety. And one of the best ways, I'll give you guys a little secret. Since you guys are watching this, it's a little secret that I have learned how to overcome anxiety. And maybe Marty and Andrea, they'll chime in a minute, okay? But the uncertainty, one of the ways you can overcome anxiety is if you take 1 tablespoon of honey, you take a little bit of black pepper, hint of black pepper, and you take vanilla extract, like a drop of vanilla extract. If you have anxiety, you mix it up and you take it in. I promise you in 15-20 minutes, you'll be like, whoa, you'll be wired differently, okay? So if you have anxiety,
Ash, how come you've been holding out on me?
Yeah, I know, serious. Put that in my text message.
Yeah. So you can, if you do that, it will get rid of your anxiety. Less, I would say 15 minutes, you'll be wired. But what it does, just so you know, honey calms you down. It gets you centered. Okay. Black pepper accelerates the flow of which how fast it goes into your body. But then vanilla extract, it actually helps the vanilla extract because vanilla extracts stimulates your brain in a completely different way and gets it focused. So when you do that, you are actually touching different aspects of your body internally, and it will help you overcome anxiety. So if you ever feel anxious, try that method. It works. Okay. And so I do this in the house, not for myself, but I have family members who are anxious at times, and I give it to them. And believe me, they're wired differently in 10 minutes. So,
I'm in.
Yeah, that works,
I'm
right? And step number 4 is embrace. Embrace the reality. Learn to give it a hug. Whatever situation you're in, you have to learn to give it a hug. It doesn't matter what the situation is, right? Because situation is like a tiger, right? When you attack a tiger, and if you run from the tiger, they will attack you. But if you face the tiger, they will back off. So if the question is, are you facing the tiger or are you running from it? And the more you run from it, the worse it gets. So you're better off to embrace it. So these are some of the steps so far. But now we're going to go into some amazing techniques. I gave you one nugget that you guys can use, and we have some guests here, guys. I want to say, let's see, Karen Mixfield is here. Hey, Karen, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate you, my friend. Please do like, share, comment, and be sure to subscribe on my YouTube channel because I do a lot of other things on my YouTube channel. I really treat my YouTube channel is like my golden my what do you call this my gem, right? In when it comes to my social media marketing. Scott Hall is here. Thank you so much, Scott, for being here. Nathan is here. Nathan, thank you so much for joining. As we are sharing this, what do you guys think about this? By the way, I would love some comments here. And I'm sorry.
I'm agreeing. I want to hear.
Yeah. Okay, so Scott Hall says great info. He says, hey, thank you, Scott, for being here. Thank you so much. We want to tell you we love you guys. You all of you who are here, you guys are great and supporting us and being here at 10 o'clock in the morning Eastern time when it's time to work, and you guys are here. So we really appreciate you guys and we love you guys a lot. Okay. We also have Jonathan Dean was here. I'm learning I'm not alone and feeling like, I don't have control. Yes, you are right. You are not alone, my friend, Jonathan. And finally, good to see a family pic there. I haven't met the family, Jonathan, but I would love to meet at some point when things are open back up. Okay. So I'm going to put in chat for those of you who want to grab all the tricks so far we have discussed. I have put it in the chat so you guys can have it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Okay. So Marni, let's start discussing. Let's talk about breath work, right?
Okay.
Because what is breath, right? So let's think about it. In a Kundalini energy, what you don't know, Kundalini energy. In Kundalini,
Inter-
one of the biggest thing is breath, right? Breath is so crucial. So
yeah.
it's one of the things, because without breath you don't live. So tell me a little bit about breath work, and how it helps people.
Well, I didn't know that I actually was doing breath work for about 30 years of my life as a singer. So it was a natural progression that I had no clue about. First of all, I also didn't know that I was a really bad breather. And they say between 75 to 95% of us in modern society are ineffective breathers. Are we breathing? Yes, or we'd be dead. But are we breathing the way that, our biology and physiology had designed for us? No. And sometimes it is from childbirth. So breath work in of itself is all about taking control. It's about knowing which breath pattern and how to breathe, whether it's from your mouth or from your nose, whether it's upper lobe, full lung capacity. It's understanding about which breath pattern do you call upon to create the desired effect. And today we're talking about uncertainty. So that would be stress and anxiety and trauma. There are certain breath things that we do. And I love to say this, and I was saying this way before I became a practitioner in breath. Being a baseball mom and at the highest elite level, everyone would yell at their kids, breathe, they're at bat, and like, breathe. And you see, there's so much tension there on the field. So a breath in of itself does not break through that neurological loop of, oh, I can relax now.
Mm,
Breathing slowly, methodically, with intention does. So
mm,
using that analogy on a baseball field, and I'm just making this connection now, how to take it further in a more teachable, learnable image, because you had such a good airplane. So, Marnie wants one too, is if your kid, whatever sport they are, with their stick, and somebody's yelling from behind, already the tiger is behind them saying, God, breathe. That person has such a desired effect for the kid who's holding whatever stick they're holding or whatever apparatus they're jumping on in gym or ice skating. And they're not breathing. They're adding the intention of tension and expectation. If I don't hit the ball, I'll die. I will turn around and look at my coach and look at my family who are in, and
mm,
I will not be able to meet the task. So breathing in of itself isn't the answer. Cognitively, methodically, linked, long breathing. I'm reading the book Breath by James Nestor, and I recommend it to anybody. And it was recommended to me by my teacher who's teaching me how to teach breath. And this is a new book, that his first experience in breath, which is which is not dissimilar than my first experience in real breath work, was about an hour of what the hell am I doing? This is boring.
wow.
What's it doing?
Mm-hmm.
Until you woke up the next morning. And for me, it was pretty instantaneous of, I'm different. I feel different. And after multiple attention, why it's called a practice, where I show up to my practice of breath work, of intake, exhale, inspiration, aspiration, respiratory, all these beautiful, fabulously glamorous words that really do support us, that we can intellectually and neurologically attach to. Why am I doing it? Doing something that's so human, that now after doing it for 30 years, but really let's say 6 months actively during COVID, I needed that support. I see the world differently.
Mm,
These tiny nuanced neurological patterning physiological shifts to take control of my body, which helps me take control of my mind. And
mm.
it works. It works. It works.
And
Wow.
yes,
Wow. Wow. Wow.
It
So
works.
breath works, you what you're saying is, when you do breath work and you breathe a certain way, it either gives you control or makes you feel uncertain. Like it's a, your breath work. correct?
Yeah, we're working in the nervous system. We're hacking in. It's a hack. It's a brain hack. It's a neurological hack. The neurological system starts in the brain, the central nervous system. So we are either activating or deafening, silencing. So other ways of saying activating is we are stimulating ourselves, are decreasing. So knowing ourselves so well, whether like last night, the election, I felt energy on my body, but I was perfectly happy with whatever the outcome is. Then we know what work we have to do. Not like, oh hell, the world's ending. It's what do we have to do now? I could handle it with control, but I still felt on my body memories of I don't like this feeling. So I chose a breath for me that was stabilizing, that was enriching, that was supportive, but also didn't put me to sleep, but it also didn't rev me up. So I was
Mm.
able to connect with my body, connect with my own breath to know, gosh, where am I right now? So in a sense, the pilot, I'm being the pilot in my program, knowing that I want to make it through the night and I want to wake up tomorrow without freaking out or out being extremely happy because I didn't want to be either.
Mm.
I didn't want to be either. I just wanted to be, that's flow. I wanted to be in the flow between agitation and relaxation.
Wow. Wow. I love that. I love that. And we have a Jonathan Dean. So those of you guys who are here and have some questions about this, about breath. Jonathan says he learned, breath work, when
Yep.
he went to his Tai Chi class, and that's kind of cool, actually, Jonathan, that you took up Tai Chi. I took up Jiu Jitsu when I was in college. So I had a good time with that. But go ahead.
Just to make sure, because Tai Chi is a great introduction to the connection of breath and the body, which is the secret sauce. But pranayama, so the Eastern philosophy way to breath, the pranayama is only 1/3 of the breath work component. So just for clarity factor, to be real breath work is kind of a bridge between science and holistic
Mm.
practices. Because
I
you kind of
love.
got to know both, because just sometimes calming down the breath isn't really what I'm trying to say is not exactly what we need. It feels really good, but it doesn't help us get out of the stew. It's the Band-Aid. It pushes the stew down the road.
Yeah, but I think that the way I look at it, right, Marni, is that there are three aspects of everything. One of the aspects
That's
of
true.
with breath work is you got acceleration, you have the
Mhm.
deceleration, and we have the neutral.
Right.
So that you have to determine strategically which one is the right move to make. Because I think that if you accelerate too fast, like your car can crash. If
Mhm.
you accelerate, if you go too slow, like my uncle who got a ticket on the highway by driving too slow. So that could happen too, right?
Right.
That could be a problem, right?
We
And
don't want that.
yeah, you can't even stay on neutral. So you really have to determine what situation you are in, what circumstances you are facing, and how fast or how slow you should be going. Is my thoughts right now.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I talk to Andrea about this all the time because we know each other in real life extremely well. The idea is we don't want to disassociate and pull ourselves out. Like you said earlier, you have to confront the tiger at some point, or you're just moving the tiger to the next day. So you don't want to de-accelerate so much that you crash your car. And Andrea and I are like, well, okay, so how do we get into a neutral or just a calm drive so you can say, hi, tiger, and I'm going to drive by you right now. You don't want to.
If, yeah,
Yeah.
I think also if I'd love to just be able to explain the brain part of this. I think to
Sure.
put this in practical terms, we all have triggers. We all have situations and experiences in our past that have created intense emotions for us, right? And we call that trauma often. Many people don't realize that most of us have experienced some type of trauma. So, because of our past experiences and the way we've emotionally reacted to it, when we face something in current time that resembles those past traumas, our amygdala, the most primitive part of our brain, that's when you talk about the sympathetic nervous system, which is activated and our breathing gets rapid, our heart rate, all of these physiological things start to happen to us. So what happens is this part of our brain shuts down, the frontal lobe.
Mhm.
This is part of our brain that helps us be rational, be able to make decisions clearly, transition from one thing to the next. So if this is shut down, and we go back to the baseball analogy, if a kid is completely activated here and he's shut down here, he's going to have a difficult time playing, right?
Absolutely.
So that's where, so the brain, because these experiences are stored and we haven't cleared them, and every time they come up, we have, if you think of your brain as a forest of trees, and we have these pathways, which are our typical responses. So the boy in the field that's being yelled at has struck out, has missed the ball before. So his path in his brain is telling him, danger, danger, you're going to mess up and you're going to be humiliated and you're going to lose the game.
No ice cream for you.
Yeah. So every time, so what we do is when we work with people, we help them identify that and understand, I'm in this part of my brain. I have to do something to interrupt that. That's where it's Marni's, this breath work, because the more you do that, you can come back here and then you can perform in a way that is more effective. So every time you're able to change the course, you're chopping down a tree in your brain to create a new pathway. So I think pulling that all together and understanding that it takes time, but we have the ability
Absolutely
to really change our brains and change how we respond in these difficult situations.
I love that. I love that. So guys, those of you who are watching me, we are in conversation. We're talking about uncertainty in life and talking today, so far we have learned so many things. Those of you who are just joining us, I want to let you know that, I talked about my plane ride story, and I think you guys should go back and listen to it. But if you're here live with us, go here at the bottom and go ahead and type in the word live. If you're watching a replay, go ahead and type in the word replay, okay? Would love to hear from you, because we learned so many things just in this last few minutes that we've been talking. And now we're going to go into some practical. We have also shared some amazing tips on what you guys can do. Like we came up with so far specific 5 steps that you can take, to help you overcome uncertainty. And now we're going to go into some exercises, to really learn and to help you guys out. Okay. So with that in mind, I want to say, those of you who are here, thank you so much for being here. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and share this feed. We highly appreciate that. So go ahead, Marni. So I want to start with Marni.
Well, actually, can I interrupt you? So
Yeah.
for the sake of modern technology in real life, in real time, no anxiety at all, I'm going to go run and get my phone charger. So
Go
we
for it.
start with Andrea.
Yeah,
See,
we'll do
it
that.
actually works. I'm like, what breath pattern do I want to do now?
Yeah.
I'm locked in. Let me run and get my phone charger. Andrea,
Yeah.
have a good time.
I know Marni, and I'm going to just say probably what's happening is she's like, holy whatever, my phone is about to lose it. The battery.
There's no child. I can't grab a kid. There's nobody I can say, hey, help me.
But I bet what she did was she probably dropped down and said, big deal. People do this all the time. Nobody's going to they're going to see I'm human. Woohoo.
Yeah.
So go get your charger.
I'm getting my charger. I'm unplugging my head. Hold on.
Yeah. Go ahead.
We can manage that stuff.
We can definitely.
If I'm doing a presentation and something doesn't work, I use that as an example for the people that are in the audience to say, you know what, I'm not going to get nervous about this because I know you're not judging me. You're thinking, I'm glad it's not me. Right, Ash?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So Andrea, I want to just start with you then in this case.
Okay.
And you want to start with giving people an idea what they can do, because when they're stuck and then they're behind their, what is this called? You said you called it something, right? What is this called?
Oh, the amygdala.
Amygdala. Yeah, amygdala. So, as you can tell, I was a science major, so I'm learning about amygdala now.
Okay, good.
So amygdala, right?
Right.
So amygdala is whenever somebody's in this state of amygdala where they're thinking about this, right?
So the first thing they need to do is they need to be able to identify it and say, okay. And I always say, use something that works for you. I'm very into visual metaphors. So I like to help people come up with their own visual metaphor. Like I'm feeling people often use when they're depressed, they feel this dark cloud over their head. So identify what's happening. Notice where you feel it in your body and say it. I am right now in my fear brain. So I need to interrupt these physiological symptoms that I'm experiencing. So what can I do? Breath work is one option. Walking, singing, taking a hot shower, cold shower. There's a lot
Yoga.
of ways that we can interrupt our physiological activation so that we can come back here and we can say, I'm safe. I'm not in physical danger. Anxiety will feel like we're in physical danger, but I'm not. It feels that way. So reminding yourself of that. And another thing is often people will think that they are their anxiety. And I always say, you are not your anxiety. Imagine that it is something that's happening, like an asthma attack. I'm experiencing an asthma attack. Let me get my inhaler. Oh, I noticed that I'm starting to breathe. So it's the same with anxiety. I am not anxiety. I am experiencing it. It's over here. I have some control. Let me see what happens. And then you kind of notice what happens when you try things. Oh, it's going down a little. Right now it's a 10, but when I took some breaths, it went to an 8. When I walked around, it went down. So you start to see that you have some control. This is something that you're experiencing. You are not anxiety.
I love that. Okay, so you are not anxiety. I love that. Because you're right that we are not anxiety, and I think that at the end of the day, if we begin to recognize that, it can help us in so many ways. Because yes, we have this thing lurking around in our amygdala, in the back, right? And I think that, so when you were talking about that, Andrea, what I thought about was that I thought about, like a sign in the back, right?
Okay.
Like a stop sign kind of thing, right? And then you just knowing me, like I would just turn around and face the stop sign.
I like that. That's a great visual metaphor.
Yeah, thank you.
Whatever works.
Yeah.
Because when you have that visual metaphor, you can actually visualize it doing the opposite. So if the stop sign is blocking you, then you imagine moving it to clear the way for you. So there's so many ways that you can use visual metaphors to help you get unstuck, to help you physically deactivate. And I don't know what happened to Marni.
No, I took her out for a second because her camera is not on.
Oh, okay.
I'm waiting for her to get back on the camera.
But yeah, whatever works. Like what I tell people, what I have people do is close your eyes. Where are you feeling this in your body? What are the thoughts associated with it? Is there anything that's coming up for you, a visual picture that you can use to help you when these situations happen, to do the opposite of what that particular anxiety is doing to you? One thing that I use, a visual metaphor that I use when I'm feeling overwhelmed with work and home things, and I have so much going on, my visual metaphor is that I imagine this jewelry box with all this beautiful jewelry, but it's all tangled together, and I can't wear any of it because I'm not taking one piece out at a time. And Ash knows me. Ash knows that I work on a lot of things at one time. So I will visualize saying, okay, well, I'm going to wear this one today. It's beautiful. And let me untangle that and just wear it by itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. All right, Marni, we can see we didn't kick you out, my friend. We were just those of you who don't know, Marni needed a charger, so she went to grab it, and now Marni, we don't have your camera on, and we cannot hear you. Okay, it's coming. Something is coming. The picture is not on yet.
I'm not. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I cannot see you.
The camera says it's on. It's there. Just we're always dealing with life, left field. You never know when it's coming at you.
That's right.
I'm in the show. Everyone can see and hear me, but you can't.
We can't see you. We can hear you.
Do this, Marni. Disconnect and then come back.
Disconnect and come back. Okay, I can try that. All right.
Mm-hmm.
See you in a minute.
Bye. Yeah. So, what we were talking about, when we are looking at this, right? So amygdala. So that's such an important thing to know. Those of you who don't know, So Andrea, what else can they do? When it comes to anxiety, like when they are feeling anxious,
Mhm.
what else can they do?
So there are a lot of different techniques that I teach people when you're feeling particularly physically activated. There's a technique called emotional freedom technique, where you're tapping on your acupuncture meridians, the endpoints, as you are thinking about and talking about your anxiety. So that's one technique. There are even simple things, as there's one simple thing also to help get activated. If you have either a stress ball, or you don't even need a stress ball, you can use your keys, you can use your glasses. And what you do is you hold it in the midline and you just slowly pass it back and forth. And it is activating both sides of your brain. It's calming. And so that's just another little thing that you can do. If you are really in a situation where you're like, I got to calm myself down, but I really can't go anywhere. So maybe you're at your desk and you're just doing this and you're breathing. You can use scents, aromatherapy can really be helpful, because we know that going through the olfactory system it does hit the amygdala, which is what can calm, such as lavender. So there's so many ways that we can use different techniques to help us reset and get calmer.
Mm. I love that. I love the idea of like just taking something and passing it back and forth. I
It
thought it was.
really is calming. It's not only calming, but it's distracting to you. So it's something else to do. But it really does, since it's accessing both sides of your brain, it's bilateral stimulation. Right,
Mm.
Mark?
Absolutely. And if you add an intention on that and just being focused on the fact that is, I know what it is that I'm doing and I know what it is that I'm addressing, and you add layers. So if you want to really nail that in, is then you take care of all 5 layers of the kosha of the body, the ethereal body, the energetic body. And that passing through the left and the right side of the brain. Oh, Andrea, we love this talk. This is what we do all the time. We love these things. Is that when you find out where you are in your seat and you start to ground as you're working with the left and the right hemisphere, and then you add and layer on breath, and then you orient. I'm in my seat doing left and right, recognizing that I'm agitated or in accelerated breath. And I recognize that I'm sitting here in my living room. Suddenly, the distraction becomes with purpose, and it's so powerful.
What you're talking about too is grounding yourself. Is that when you're in that state, you're not in the present moment.
Right.
You are back to what happened to you years ago, or whatever. I dropped that ball and lost the game. That's where he is. And to ground yourself, you need to use all of your senses. I'm sitting in this chair right now. Today is Thursday, whatever day it is, Wednesday.
Yep.
I'm home. I'm safe. I'm not in that place. So using your senses to ground you is another. Oh, one really quick technique. I'll just tell you, it's very easy. It's if you're feeling really anxious, it's 5 things. You do like 5 things I can see, 4 things I can hear, 3 things I can touch, and you go through your senses, and that is really going to ground you, because you're going to be using all your senses and you're going to be occupied with trying to check off your list.
I like that idea. Thank you for that. That's great. That's great. So, so far, guys, we are in conversation with Andrea and Marni, and we're talking about how to overcome uncertainty. We are in uncertain times all over the world, due to pandemic and other reasons, right? So, with that being said, we're talking about that, and so far we have uncovered so many things. Andrea, I learned about amygdala. Now I'm it's back there. I love that idea, but so I can imagine like what I would do with that. But anyways, so
Straight to Google.
so for me, everything becomes fun and game. I hope you guys appreciate that. But with that being said, I wanted to talk about now. So Andrea so far covered about if you're having uncertainty, make sure that you know how to bring it from the amygdala to the forefront of your mind. And then she talked about how to balance the two things about you take some object, whether it's a phone or anything, and you go left, to the right, and to the left, and to the right. And when you do that, that will also help you, so in terms of balancing your brain out in a little bit, so that way you can start. And then you can also try all kinds of senses, like all of your senses in the body, and you can try different things with your senses, right? Now we're talking about how do you get rid of uncertainty. So now we have Marni here, and she's going to talk about breath, because she's been talking about that. She's an expert in this field. So Marni, I wanted to find out a little bit in this understanding on a breath work. I wanted to find out a little bit about what can somebody do to overcome anxiety with breath, and if you can teach us a couple of techniques, that'd be great.
I would be honored to. And again, to loop back into what Andrea was saying, is the more you activate, the more you incorporate, the quicker you bring yourself into a homogenous state of being, which is where you want to be if you don't want to be in an agitated state of being. And so that would be more of our sense of balance, and recruiting all of our brain. And how do we do that? Is through our senses. And okay, but if we're going to focus on breath work as being the pilot or the go-to, which includes everything that we've just discussed. I mean, you don't do one or the other, you can do them all at the same time. But the mindful application, the mindful intake, the mindful exhale is a great way to be very cognizant of when I'm passing a ball, from the left to the right, and recruiting all of me back into center, which is grounded. So a good breath practice that we can all consider, because I spoke earlier that so many of us actually breathe wrong, and that we're walking down the street just living. So we're breathing, but we're breathing fast and we're breathing shallow. And some of us actually breathe through our mouth for multiple reasons. And there are multiple reasons why that isn't optimum for us and leads to agitation and illness. So let's think about, if we don't want to know if we're a mouth breather or a nose breather, or if we're not thinking about our day, especially when we are agitated, what I would say is stop and do some of those earlier exercises that Andrea was talking about and that we were talking about, and find a spot and say, I'm committed to slowing myself down right now. I'm committed to changing my state of being. I'm committed to not feeling hijacked by my emotions. And ground yourself with those thoughts, those techniques we just used, and start calling upon our breath. So the very first thing any of us can do, which is the quote, just breathe, is start slowing it down. If you're very agitated, I welcome you to breathe through your mouth and exhale through your mouth, just so we can change the loop. It doesn't really change how the brain works right now, but it changes the loop of stress that we're in. So we can just call in a breath. And I don't really care if you breathe in through your nose or you breathe in through your mouth. You just want to pay attention. You are the passenger on that plane, and I know I'm going to get to America. And breathe slowly. And each time that you attach your intention to, I'm going to stay here with my breath, I'm going to try to extend the inhale and meet it at the same count with the exhale. So you can just try it right now. You can just close your eyes. You can go internal. If you're really agitated, you can stay with me and look at me and use that visual input and stare at me, and I will look back at you, and we're just going to breathe in and breathe out. And as soon as we truly connect to our breath and we have regained control, that we are breathing cognitively, at the top of the inhale, I want you to suspend your effort for about 2 counts. So you're going to breathe in, taking that inhale, and hold, suspend. Let's not use hold, because hold sounds like tension. Suspend just means no effort. And then you're going to invite yourself to exhale. And at the bottom of the breath, at the emptiness of your lungs, suspend effort. And we're going to stick in that pattern for a while. And you will feel your senses change. The trick to any good practice is buy into the practice. Believe the practice. Don't look for an instantaneous outcome. Trust the plane will land. So inhale, suspend, exhale, suspend. Now, if you haven't already, switch to your nose. Just breathe through your nose, and it might be a little scary for some of us, and just trust that we know how to fly. Let's breathe in through our nose, suspend, and exhale through our nose, suspend. And if you are a person who is self-aware, you will have noticed that the longer you breathe through your nose, the more of your lungs and diaphragm are being used. Because that, just on day one, I don't know who's listening and I don't know who craves breath work. I hope it's all of us. The idea is we want our diaphragm to work more and our shoulders and our muscles to work less. And the diaphragm, the vagus nerve sits right there in that diaphragm. And for those who don't know what the diaphragm, it is the muscle that calls in air, and it's the muscle that pushes out air. And the nose goes straight down to the bottom of the lungs, the richest, the biggest bags, the places in our lungs that really accept air before it gets pushed out into the blood and into the brain. So let's try one more really quickly. I'm just going to teach you. I don't think we have time to really go into the practice, but cognitive breath, mindful breath, nose breath is super, super powerful. And if that intrigues you, oh my gosh, there's an encyclopedia. So quickly, this is the one that everybody teaches first or second. So why not? Why not me too? It's called box breath. I learned it in singing and it didn't assist me at all because it was missing the key component. Thank you to all my very expensive singing teachers and conservatory training. It's what they do in the Navy SEALs. It's what they do in police forces. And it's what most breath practitioners say. If you cannot focus, here is your first focus exercise. So I want to repeat that. If you cannot focus, you're hijacked or you have, trouble focusing. Box breath teaches focused breath, but embedded is the breath that helps with CO2, which helps with balance and synchronicity and timing, real pulmonary timing. So just take your finger. We're going to shift into the exercise so I can teach you. And again, most people would teach this as internal focus, but if we're talking about hijacked nervous system, I'm going to teach this as external focus, meaning look at me or look at a fixed point. And I'm going to paint and inhale for 4 counts through my nose. And when I paint the side of the box, that's a suspend for 4 counts. And I'm coming right outside of my picture frame. So 4 inhale, 4 suspend, 6 exhale, 2 suspend. So I'm inhaling, I'm holding or suspending, exhaling and suspending, quickly looping, turning it over. I'm trying to find the camera to teach, small camera, into this pattern. The trick to this is just like the one using both sides of the brain, watching, passing the ball or watching the finger. If you stare at your finger, it instantly distracts you. And use it as a paintbrush. So, and let it loop for a while, meaning do the full cycle of 4, 4, 6, 2. If you do it 3 times, you'll get a little benefit, but you won't solve your problem. You won't heal. You won't give yourself the permission to break out of the loop. You've just slowed yourself down. Give yourself a few minutes doing it between the 2 breaths. And I invite you to go from external focus into internal focus and allow yourself to do it as more of a meditation. It's really powerful and it really works.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much, Marni. Oh wow, that is amazing. Thank you for that. That is so great because those of you who are here watching us, we have uncovered so many things today about uncertainty. And my challenge to you is that go on as you're watching this video and go through the video, and as you're going through it, and try out some of the methods we're teaching you, because they're truly actionable steps and they are not just something that these are experts in their field who have come on today to talk about about how to overcome uncertainty. Look, I'm a very very practical guy. I was in the financial field for a very long time, and so for me, yes, I am holistic because I am from India and I've learned quite a bit from my grandfather, and I am the founder of Financial Chakras and all that. But at the end of the day, I think of solutions in a different way, and they think of solutions, and they are the expert in that field. And I think, first of all, I want to give them my thanks for joining me today and giving me all the expertise. Wow, like the breath work was amazing. Marni and Andrea, your amygdala and how you talked about balancing the brain, I thought that was really, really cool. Really, really cool. I had never thought about it that way, but that's pretty amazing. So I want to thank both of you, and to thank all of you who are joining us. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I would highly appreciate that. So I want to say thank you all of you for being here. I want to tell you from my side, I love you guys a lot, and I just wanted to want to make a difference in your life in some way, shape, or form. And I want to and let both of these ladies know I love you both because you guys are great. You guys are amazing. And I thank you so much for sharing. Really, really appreciate everything you guys are doing and making the difference in the world. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Ash. We
Thank
really
you,
enjoyed
Ash.
it.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you,
Thank
Andrea.
you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye bye.
Namaste.
Yeah.
Namaste,
Bye-bye.
Satnam.
Satnam.